Hello and welcome to the Last Word on Spurs. We are your multi-award winning Tottenham Hotspur podcast, and we return ahead of what is billed to be a crunch week in store for us as fans, for Ange Postecoglou, for pretty much what rides on Tottenham's season. If you're with us for the very, very first time, you can find us on iTunes, we're on Spotify, we're across all major audio platforms. We're, of course, on X, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, and we're on Blue Sky too. I'm delighted to be welcoming returning guests to Last Word on Spurs. I've had to beg, to appease to come on here, give them to have to come and talk about Tottenham. It's a tough gig right now, but I'm pleased to say two musicians have taken it up. And Billie T, who I've unmasked this coming over this season, has joined us as well. Bill, how are you? It's a big week, fair to say, Bill, isn't it? A big week.
It's a big week, man. And would you believe it? I've got parents' evening on Thursday, which is the timing of that is unbelievable. They said last appointment at 6 o'clock. I said, can you not make it 9 o'clock, mate? So I don't have to go to this fucking game. But, it is what it is, man. I got to be there. I've got to watch it like everyone else. But yeah, I couldn't get out of it from parents' evening. I thought I might have a golden ticket there, but there you go. Finished at 6, so no excuse, sadly.
Oh, I'll tell you. It's going to be one of those shows. We've already put £1 in the swear jar. I've got to be careful now. I'm bringing on next on this show because I could be in for hundreds of thousands the way it could be going, bearing in mind the season we've had and what they put this man through. It must mean that Jah Wobble's back on the show, always bringing the fireworks. Jah, how are you, mate? Lovely to see you.
I'm absolutely happy. I support a lovely football club. Can't wait for Thursday night. Real full of expectation. It won't end up with a terrible, horrible, toxic atmosphere, will it? I know that at the end of the night.
What's that a moan about as well? What's that a moan about, Jah? Why should it be toxic? Why should there be any anxiousness in the stadium?
All I've got left is my bitter sarcasm. That's all I've got now in the tank, I'm afraid.
And we would not change you for the world, mate. We love you very much. Also making up our panel, been a while. We've got the wonderful Chris Ostler join us over at Black Honey. Chris, how are you? Lovely to see you. Oh, what a time to come back on for the first appearance of the season. It's been tough. Chris, how are we feeling? And I'll try and unmute you from your end because I can see you're frantically looking.
I think I've just got it. I think I've got it.
I try to understand because we were looking for the mute button or to try and unmute because if the way this season has gone, I wouldn't blame you if you just want to be muted for an hour.
I'm still undecided, Rick. I might. In fact, can I just listen in and not take part?
I wanted that role all season, to be honest. I'm happy just to stand down for the season.
No, I'm good. I'm going to the game again on Thursday, and it's the first one I've been to for a while, so I need to psych myself up. So here we go.
Here we go. Look, it is a big week for Tottenham Hotspur. A big week for Ange Postecoglou as well. As we know, Tottenham have it all to do against AZ Alkmaar. God, I'm struggling and keep having to repeat and tell myself that it's AZ, not AZ, in the second leg of the Europa League last 16 leg this coming week. For Spurs boss Ange Postecoglou, who is under increasing pressure after a torrid season with his team sitting 13th in the Premier League table. It is all on European glory or nothing. Spurs do have a bit of a mountain to climb. Of course, they had that 1-0 defeat in the first leg, which they're going to have to overcome. And it's a case that Tottenham on this game are going to have to really show their quality, show their perseverance if they are to turn it around. And if Ange Postecoglou is going to stick to his promise to continue that fact that he always delivers a trophy in his second season. I just wonder now, when you look back at that interview, you could just see as those words left Ange's mouth, he thought, no. He couldn't grab them back. He couldn't grab back the words that left his mouth. He realised that he's the manager of Tottenham. What are the chances? It's a massive week in store for the football club, for the manager. Bill, does it feel like a crunch week? Does it feel like a pivotal week of the season?
It does, mate. It really does. It feels like I don't know if it feels exciting, but it feels like the last roll of the dice, if you know what I mean. It's that kind of thing. It's like when you've just you've gone into a casino with £1,000 and you've got like £5 left on the roulette and you put it on the number. That's your last spin. Doesn't feel like there's any kind of logic behind it or any kind of goodwill. It's just last roll of the dice time, man. This is it. Make or break. This is all or nothing. I think the last two games have really taken out of me, but I'm going to try and not moan on this podcast because it's a lot. This is all we got left, man. This is it. This is our last run of the dice. So let's see how it goes.
Do agree on that. Like I say, I think for many out there, the importance of the game, along with what the consequences would be if Tottenham were to lose it, don't really bear thinking about. I mean, John, did it feel for you? Look, I don't want to age you at all, and they've got you obviously having to sit up for this season. Normally, we've got you laying down. You're a lot more relaxed, you know.
Yeah, I know. Well, with the back, I know, but I just thought, God, look, I was going to die down, but I look like a big fat whelp laying down. So I thought I've got to show something. Put a cap
The problem
on.
is, John, now you've got to stand up and watch it, or sit up and watch it. You can't even lay down.
I'm colour coordinated as well, and I had a shave just for this, out of respect to you, not out of respect for Tottenham. I have no respect for them anymore. No, it's you know, I can't think of any other team apart from, you know, if it was a really top team who would be in a situation where they're in the last 16 of a European competition. Is it the last 16 or are we going? I think it's the last 16.
Yeah, round of 16. We're still in the round of
around
16
the
for
16,
now.
or we wouldn't be excited. But we know Tottenham. We know what a bad faith sort of club it is. There's already there's quite a bit of needle, I think, between the manager. He has no love for Tottenham. I don't think he has any love for Tottenham fans. I think that's kind of mutual. That started to creep in with the City game last year. That's just an extra little bit of spice in it. So, you know, they've really got to pull this off. And they always let you down, you know. So against Liverpool away, I thought, by the way, they're losing 1-0, Liverpool still. I don't know if it's not 1-1, it's 1-0 still. But anyway, when the Liverpool game, they just went out of a whimper. Villa away, out with a whimper. We've always got excuses. It was like Conte said, we've always got an excuse. There's always a reason why, you know, you apply a little bit of pressure to Tottenham, they crumble. It would not surprise anybody if Alkmaar win that by 2 clear goals. And they're the outsiders, supposedly. Wouldn't surprise anybody if that happened, if we come out and we're wide open. I have to say, bit of a nadir, the Bournemouth game, because there he is, and the opposing gaffer is the one, probably the most fancied guy for the Tottenham job. And you just look at the first goal. That's down to Ange. That's where he wants our right back in a number 8. He wants him in an inside forward number 8 position. And guess what? You give the ball away. Guess what? There's no one on the right-hand side to come over and cover, you know. And guess what? It's the Premier League. So guess what? When the geezer puts a ball in from the left, guess what? He'll drop it on a sixpence. And guess what? Because it's the Premier League, the geezer coming in will finish with aplomb. Who would have thought, eh? So we kind of know it. It wasn't even a gutsy comeback to draw 2-2, you know. At least we kept going. It took a fluky cross. And luckily, Kepa gave us the game because we didn't look like we were going to score, actually, you know, in open play, really, throughout the game, you know. So it was a nadir. I really hope I'm wrong. Of course, I want Tottenham to be successful. But, you know, it's funny. Danny Baker, who's a mate of mine, he tweeted a thing of me, an interview with me in the NME from 1983. And it's about Tottenham. It's just about Tottenham. I used to, all the European games, I've booked my gigs round the tours, you know. And, you know, and you look back, and if you'd said to me then, guess what? That was after the UEFA Cup final. Guess what? You'll get to be an old man with a dodgy back, getting your pension, and Tottenham would have only won 2 League Cups and 1 FA Cup in that time. Yeah, in all that time. And in fact, from the 90s, if you told me then, once we won the FA Cup against Forest, that's it. 2 League Cups. It's shocking. It's shocking. And we got an owner, you know, like I said before we went on air, as my son put it, you know, ages ago, we're going to end up holding on to this one manager that should have been sent up the road double quick. So out of all the managers he should have kept hold of but didn't and sent them up the road, this is the guy he keeps hold of. And it was obvious to me last year that, you know, we're just too wide open. It's too, and other top managers kind of pat his head and go, oh, yeah, it's great. They're really great. Because it's easy for them to say that. You know, if I'm asked about another musician generally, even if I don't really rate them, I'm not going to sort of say, oh, he's shite, you know, publicly. I'm going, yeah, he's all right. You know, he's good. Yeah, of course I'm going to say that, you know. So I'm not sure. And he doesn't seem a terrible bloke. I think he's a bit arrogant. I think he's a bit complacent. I think he plays the old soldier card a bit, you know, like he wants to be seen as an older statesman. He wants to be seen as a football person, a football bloke who's accepted by all the other top managers around the world. And he's Australian and fair dues to him with all that. It's just, he's not they got found out very early on. They got found out against Chelsea when last season, when they got us that game. They'd sort of found us out, and we've been worked out. And so what happens when you get worked out? It just means when you come out like a boxer, throwing lots of combinations really fast, playing at full tilt, always being on the go, you're going to win. You're going to win games, but you're going to win fewer and fewer games. You're going to catch out some teams. It's like a boxer. You're going to catch the other boxer cold, But if the other boxer's prepared and knows the kind of combinations you're going to box, he's just going to stand off and pick you off. Or else he's going to come up close and just stop you, and he's going to dominate because he knows you're just going to come out punching, and he knows that's all you've got. You haven't got any canniness. You can't box clever. So he's going to either lay off you, let you wear yourself out, be defensive, or come in close, get you in the clinches, wear you out, and then pick you off. That's how it seems to me. And I really hope I'm wrong, because football's a funny game. Wouldn't it be great if we perform really well, go on to win this competition? I'd be delighted to say I'm wrong, but I don't think I am, I'm afraid.
Give him 5 more years, Joe, if he wins it.
No, you ain't going to get that at Tottenham, I mean, that's the thing. If he did win it, next year, people would be expecting him to be a bit more canny. And what's happened with football, I'm not a football expert. I'm just a muggy football fan. But football's going through what you could call an age of nuance. You see that with Arne Slot at Liverpool. It's not all about the mad charge and mad pressing. It's about playing a nuanced game, the way PSG are against Liverpool presently. You need your pace up front. Look at Conte. Everyone, he just plays 3-5-2. Well, look what he's done. Coming in central, that Fabregas is doing it at Como. Football moves on. And I worry about people that, my philosophy. To me, that is like, it's a bit grand. It's like a kind of film directors who have to kind of talk a lot about the philosophy, how they see life and their art, because they're actually maybe got doubts about how good they are at it, And it has echoes of an interior designer. Well, I think we should have the blancmange there, and I've got this great taste, and I have my philosophy with colours, and I will only use muted tones in the living area, So fucking what, I believe so. But we all like nice football. But you have to, you'd never get this in boxing, where, well, I don't believe in keeping my guard up all the time. I think it's boorish. Well, you're going to get knocked out, ain't you?
Well, listen, on that point, John, I'm going to come on and ask you about where we are in terms of the rounds and knockouts, because it does feel like this game has got the potential to be potentially a definitive knockout, and one that could be one of a fact that you won't get back from. So I'm going to come on to that. Chris, let me come on to you. We know how tricky it's been this season, and we obviously know how big the AZ Alkmaar game is. And, I've asked the boys there for their feeling about how big it is. Do you also view it for you as being a week where, if it doesn't go to plan, there could be big consequences for Ange Postecoglou's job and everything that really encapsulates the season? Because it is now all down to this. It does come down to this game for many out there. We know our position in the Premier League now, with all due respect, is one really where, as we saw, there's a real lack of... I wouldn't say there's a real lack of caring, because there's fans that still go to that stadium, 55, 60,000 fans that want to see Tottenham win. But I think the mood right now amongst the fan base reflects just how difficult this season has been. And it's bad, but I'm trying to find words for it that I can't really find. I mean, Chris, how big is this week for Tottenham?
Oh, it's massive, Rick. It's all or nothing, isn't it? I mean, the league is done. Like, we've all given up on the league. It's been an absolute nightmare. It's just damage and limitation now, isn't it? Let's face it. Don't show that, Jesus. It's literally, this game is all or nothing. It's the most
Take it back off. We can't look at the league. Take it back off.
It's the most important game of the season, without a doubt. I'm going to the game. I need to psych myself up. It's literally like, we need to win this game, or there's no point watching the rest of the matches, is there, this season, basically. It's a horrible place to be in, but, there's still that small chance. I mean, I'm going to come on here and try and be the positive light here, I reckon, because that's all I've got left. For my sins, I'm usually a positive person. So, I mean, I've always been Ange to my detriment, but even I'm starting to crack this week. It's been so hard to care. Like it feels so numbing watching these games, which is painful. Like, but I'm still really torn because I can see if we lose on Thursday, yeah, I like if Ange gets sacked, fair enough. Like I'm at that point now where I'm like, okay, like we need change. Something needs to get better. But equally, I can also see if he stays to the end of the season, I guess that like I could also buy in because from where I'm standing, the 18-month rinse and repeat thing, I just can't bring myself to do it again. Like we've done it so much. The board never backed the manager. Like we've been in like a rebuild for what seems like forever. And it's just start again. And I can't do it. Like I really, really want the project to work. Like we all knew that Ange's tenure was going to be different. Like we just sold Harry Kane, arguably the club's best and most influential player of all time. Like it was a mishmash of players brought in from countless different managers and systems. The whole thing was a mess, right? Projects take time. Projects take patience and commitment. It was always going to be difficult. It was always going to be a struggle. Like these things were predicted to get a lot worse before they got better. Like if we cut our losses now, then we just start again. And we have to go through all of this again, probably. Like who says it's going to be better? Like
I think the question to ask, Chris, is whether I think this is an interesting point because I know there is some out there that still feel, have we given this long enough to really judge when you've lost Harry Kane, when you've lost, influential people around the club, and people like me saying it's the likes of Dyer, Højbjerg, Lloris, whatever you think about these people, these were people that did lead by example. I mean, you can question their leadership, don't get me wrong, but now what you've got is a very, very young team. Exactly. There's a few established players there. I mean, I suppose it comes back to that point, Chris, whether I think, again, this is, podcasts are not for anyone to tell anyone how they should feel, what they need to feel. I think every fan has got their own view on where they are at with a project, and it's not for anybody else to tell that fan how they should and shouldn't feel. I think it comes down to the fact, Chris, that everyone has got a certain breaking point and a certain amount of patience, and it's whether you and yourself feel that you've still got more rope to run in terms of Ange Postecoglou from what you're seeing. And I think this is where, again, this is what really I think at the moment is hard, because coming over to you, Bill, if I can, I'll come back to Chris. You was in that stadium at the weekend, of course, for that, I was about to say defeat. It was a draw against Bournemouth. I mean, look, we rescued a 2-2 in a game where throughout there was a lot of, I think, questions around what is really the system, how are we playing. The patterns of play is a key thing, right, Bill? Because, look, there can be an argument that although Ange Postecoglou has got the bulk of his players back, have we given him enough time to actually see them fully back integrated and actually had games under their belt? Romero, Van der Ven, Solanke I'm referring to. There could be that argument there, but my worry would be is that for the other 7 or 8 players that are out there, there isn't any real coherency in the way we're playing, the way we are trying to approach games. There's no real pattern of play. There's certain players that I don't like accusing players of not trying, right, Bill? Because I think there's a difference between not trying and trying to try, but just things aren't coming off. What are you seeing? What body language are you seeing? You're at the games. What's your gauge at the moment?
So the last 2 games have totally taken out of me, to be honest with you, man. And the reason is because these are 2 gigantic games. Obviously, last Thursday, I thought the way that we came out the blocks and was so flat, it really questioned, is he even motivating the team anymore? And then Sunday, you think, right, they're going to react to an absolutely horrific defeat. We've got the players coming out on Instagram saying, this isn't good enough, this is a wake-up call. And then Sunday, the same again happens. We were really, really poor. And the way that I'm kind of feeling right now is those 2 games have maybe, I've been Ange every week without fail on this podcast. Yeah, those 2 games have made me not want Ange Postecoglou to be our manager next season. But having said that, he is going to be our manager for a massive game on Thursday. So I don't want to come on here and moan about him. I just want to get behind him for the next 3 days and just hope that we can have a miracle, because anyone tuning into this podcast right now is probably trying to gear themselves up for Thursday. Fans are going to go there. It's a massive, massive game. So for the next 3 days, I'm going to back him. But having said that, my biggest concern is, right, So I think with Ange, you can kind of accept the defensive deficiencies when we were free scoring, attacking, creating loads of chances, full throttle attack all the time. We've lost that completely now. Like, we don't do that anymore. We're lackluster in attack, if anything. And I was much more willing to accept the fact that a ball over the top can, cut us open in a thread in an instant, when I knew that we could score 3-4 goals a game, and we were doing that regularly. Now that's gone, and that is where my trust in Ange has gone. So while I don't want Ange to be our manager next year, all stroke is right there. It has broken me, one of his strongest fans. At the same time, he's going to be manager of one of our biggest games in a long time, so I'm going to back him, and just hope that we can get that, roulette wheel all on number 10. That's my lucky number. Let's hope we get that 38-1 shot. Bang, let's do it.
Yeah, I mean, look, a lot of comments and views that come into the show here. One from Crocodonks, who says, "Hi guys, the reason given to keep Ange are injuries, projects take time and style of football. I need a reason why he's good at his job in order to back him, not just a list of circumstances." I can see Bill, you're keen to come back on that point there.
Yeah, I think that's a really, really good point. I don't think this stretch of games, even without some of our best players, we've had a decent amount of players back for the last 4, 5, 6 games, and I haven't seen anything which makes me actually, this guy is worth sticking with. And as one of his biggest fans, that's what disappoints me. But the real sort of knife in the back for me was that performance on Thursday. There was no motivation there. There was no. That was our biggest game of the season, and they were so poor and so flat that really took the wind out of me, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think a lot of people throughout the season, to be fair, there's been some patience with regards to, give him the cup game, see how he gets on. I think the manner of the defeat against Liverpool was very, very hard to take, that second leg. You then follow up with Villa, where we concede inside a couple of minutes. I think that'll be the concern, that when you're seeing a frequency as to how regularly Spurs concede so early as well, that would also be a massive, massive concern. We conceded in the first opening minutes against Villa. We conceded, you could argue we could have been 3 or 4 down to Ipswich in those first couple of minutes. We went and won the game 4-1.
Ricky,
Go on, John.
Sorry to interrupt. We're a relegation team. If it wasn't, there's 3 teams already down. If it wasn't for that, if it happened to be like the seasons you had, say, not even 10 years ago, we'd be right slap bang in the middle of relegation fight. We'd look like a relegation team. So you got reading this list of non-attributes, and it just goes on and on. There's not. Is it like that last question in regards to Ange? Tell us something positive. What is he about? Well, what is this team about? Do you know what I noticed at the end of the game? Sarr and all collapsing on the floor. That game against Bournemouth, because they're running around like bloody schoolboys. Because they're like getting a run around with Portsmouth. That's just wrong. There's no bloody shape there. There's no shape. There's no solidity. They're not compact at all. There's been the only times where I saw them.
Has he lost the dressing room then, John? Just to answer that, John, do you feel that has he lost the dressing room? Are they not listening to his instructions?
Well, to be fair, unless it's the club just working a PR thing, the players, especially the younger players, I think, like Gray, obviously, want to play for him, Even Maddison, I thought ages ago, the likes of Romero, Maddison, the senior pros, would really have their doubts about him. But even they seem to be on message when they discuss him, I've got to say this to you. You look at PSG giving Liverpool the runaround over the last 2 games, even though they lost the first leg unluckily 1-0. Luis Enrique, who was the man Paratici, I believe, wanted to come to Tottenham. Imagine how things might have been different there. Paratici, and why would you say that? Yeah, again, Ange is not a terrible bloke. I quite like rough Aussies. I've got nothing against them at all. But, you can't get away. He's not managed the team in a proper top league. And that when he has managed and it's gone well for him, he's tended to have the best players in the league and could probably have a few defensive frailties and get away with it. At the elite level, obviously you can't. You'll get punished, So, I think the players, I suspect, especially the more senior pros, would be absolutely relieved if they had the same situation the Tottenham squad had when Harry Redknapp took charge. If just some sensible geezer come in, all right, lads, you're footballers.
Just keeping it simple.
I saw Fabregas talk. Apparently Fabregas, the system he's got at the moment, he uses his players. He lets them make up their mind exactly how they're going to play it on the day.
But I think, Joe, that's a big problem with what we've got right now. I think there's a real lack of direction and influence from the touchline that I think the players almost have to kind of work out what they've got to do in game to get a result. Whereas I just feel, John, there needs to be more. But I just feel, John, there needs to be more guidance from the touchline, because I don't mean this disrespectfully. For those at the weekend, they would have seen one manager in Iraola that was almost instructively organising Bournemouth whilst the game was ongoing. And then the camera would pan to Ange. You'd have his hands in his pockets like he has done really throughout the course of the last
often looking slightly puzzled, slightly pissed off, Yeah,
I need the manager to kind of, I mean, I'm sure we all feel the same here. Any Tottenham fan would feel the onus is on the manager to give the team some direction, to give the team some feeling of understanding of what is going on in order to avoid getting in the situations they're getting in. But I think that'll be the big thing, Chris. I mean, I know, again, you've said yourself, you're quite patient when it comes to Ange. I think that's been one of those things that's really got under fans' skin, is that, look, we're not asking him to be Mikel Arteta on the touchline or in the post-match with regards to storming off in interviews. But I think what you want to see is that there's not only progression when it comes to individual players, but there also seems to be this kind of element that you're trying to coach the players whilst they're in a game if instructions do need to be had. And I think that's been one of the things that has really grated on me and got under my skin, definitely in the last 4 or 5 months, Chris, that when I look at the touchline, there's very few instructions that seem to come from there to actually directly influence a game. And yes, I'm well aware that we came from 2-0 down against Bournemouth and got a 2-2. And, many would suggest you couldn't do that if you had lost the dressing room. But the nature of the way those goals come about, and I don't want to kid anybody because I don't want to be a kidder here. Stars, with all due respect, people might disagree. I think it was a mishit that went in. And Kepa decides to come out and take Son down where he's going away from goal, which I just couldn't quite understand why. I mean, it goes back to that point, Chris, doesn't it? I mean, do you feel you've seen enough progression with Ange Postecoglou in this last 15, 16, 17 months for you to feel in your mind it does warrant more? Because like you're saying, you're kind of on the fence here a little bit with regards to Ange. You're not fully out. You're maybe not fully in. You're having doubts. Is there still more to play out for you at the moment? Does there need to be more time given to the players that have just come back for you to really decide if he can take this club forward?
Yeah, see, I agree with everything you're saying, with the fact that he's not, I don't see enough from the sidelines, but equally I'm looking at the players, and football's a confidence game, right? These players are absolute rock bottom at the moment. Every single one of them. They're exhausted. Like like whether you think they're Tottenham through or not, they're feeling like shit like we are, right? Every single one of them want to turn this around, whether it looks like it or not. Like, yeah, granted, some of them could play better. Like, Son's been awful. I love the guy, but he's been awful. Like, captain needs to step up. But like, it's a confidence game, and I mean, everyone hates to talk about the injuries, but take 14 players out of any Premier League team, they're gonna absolutely crumble. They're all gonna be down where we are. Look at Man United; they haven't even got injuries, and they're also down where we are in the league. Like, there's so many different factors to it, and you bring the players back from injury. Like, long term, yes, you hope these players will help and pick up the momentum and get the team playing again. But they've been back for what, 2 games? They need time to build up match fitness. Like, it's not going to click, and they're going to be well beaters. Like, it's going to take time to build up the fitness. Like, for me, I think we are currently rock bottom, right? It can't get any worse than this, apart from if it is on Thursday, obviously. But like, is for me, right? We say we lose on Thursday, we sack Ange, get a new manager. Who knows if it's going to be any better? He's still got these players, right? The only way is up, whether we have Ange or not, is what I see. And I looking at those first 10 games, right? Maybe I'm a hopeless romantic, but watching those first 10 games was some of the best football I've seen Tottenham play, right? And I fell in love with Ange Ball, whatever Ange Ball is, at that point. And the idea of that excites me. Like, do you remember the the intensity, the pressing, the flicks around the box. Like we used to play so high up the pitch.
That'll be my worry, Chris. That
we haven't done that in weeks.
That's my worry
like,
too, man.
That's my worry. Where is that brand of football gone?
Exactly. Yeah, I mean that's kind of my point. Like we haven't played Ange ball in 6 months. Like, and why is that? Like, is that Ange's fault? Is that the players' fault? I think it's a lot of factors. But like, if in theory, if the players come back and we start playing, my ideal world is we get back to that. But maybe the ship has sailed. You know?
Yeah. I mean, what obviously hasn't helped, John, if I bring you in after that game, is when you start to question the atmosphere in the ground. When, I mean, anyone would wonder why are we questioning the atmosphere in the ground when we've had the form that we've had at home? And for those that aren't aware of our form at home, Spurs have just won one of their last 10 games at home. I mean, that'll be one of the reasons why the atmosphere is what it is. You know, Spurs might have won 3 and drawn one of their past 5 Premier League games, but at home they've won just one of their past 10 in all competitions. It is now actually impossible for Tottenham to record 10 home wins in the Premier League this season. That will mark the first time since the 2010-11 season that Spurs have failed to win at least 10 league matches at home. We have a 35% win rate at home in the league this season under Ange. It's 5 wins from 14. And I just think as well, if you've lost 17 out of the last 28 and the games in there are to the likes of Ipswich, Leicester, Palace, you've gone out of the cups with a whimper, you've come up short in the big games of the season, I think any normal fan would be questioning, would be anxious, would be nervous about going at home at the stadium. I mean, is it just one of those subjects, John? Look, you've been around football for a very, very long time, bless you. I don't know age you. John, do you just think you just as a manager should avoid anything to talk about atmosphere when you had the season that you've had? I just think it's really counterproductive from a manager who's trying to, you think at this point, trying to get more fans on side than lose them.
He says too much at times. He's a bit naive with, the stuff with City last year. Every club with a major rival who, if they don't beat the team they're playing that night, the major rival wins a major tournament or whatever. I don't know of a club that part of them wouldn't want to lose, and he should know that, and I just felt I felt it was kind of like a little bit cowardly throwing the supporters under the bus, treat us with a bit of respect. We're some of the best fans in the game, very loyal. You look at Tottenham's attendances, the away support, there's a fanatical following. What I will say, a couple of things, you look at those stats, I believe our stats are worse than the year we went down, which I remember, 76. I think it was our actual stats are worse, but they certainly were at one point, maybe before we got the 3 wins on the bounce, possibly. But our stats were worse than the year we went down in the 70s. This thing about the injuries, look at the amount of games these Liverpool players are playing. It's only Tottenham. We always have an excuse. One of the reasons they're injured and tired is because they're all running around like lunatics, putting fires out. Normally running back towards our own goal, putting fires out. So it's all these soft tissue, it's hamstring pulls and all that. And I've heard pro-Ange people try and convince me that it's not down to him. And I think, I can see what I'm looking at with my own eyes. I'm just seeing every defenders and midfielders having to sprint back, everyone putting fires out. Sorry, Harry.
John, I don't know age, John. How many? Go on.
Sorry, to get to this point where, they're exhausted, darling, mentally as well as physically. I just can't. No offense, Chris, but I just think, fuck off. Really, fuck off. Show something. Because in football, you're a centre forward, say, even on an individual level. And, I'm finding it really hard to get space. And I've got 2 centre halves on me. Find a fucking way. Find a fucking way. Because that's football. Because either find a way and be a winner or don't find a way and be a loser. It's football, So I can't be going with the excuses. Sorry, I'm swearing and ranting. I promised I wouldn't. Sorry, Ricky, you were going to ask me something.
We're about a tenner down, John. Finish your point. We can't afford you more than this show. Carry on.
Well, there's always a ton of excuses, but we you know, this was all hyped up. That Chelsea game last year, it's unprofessional for it to be this emotional kind of, you know, it was like a pressure cooker of emotion that night. Only Tottenham, proper big winning teams don't have that, you know. So what we do, let's try and be positive. There's been a couple of occasions I remember with Alex Ferguson. You know, I remember because everything can change. Everything can change. Circumstances can change. I remember Alex Ferguson. He was gone. He wasn't going to see time out at Man United. It was a matter of time. And how Kendall, I remember at one point with Liverpool, with Everton, that success to Everton team, and incredibly, it all changed on, you know, one incident in a game where they score and they cling on and then go from strength to strength. I don't see it. I think it's kind of, you know, I don't see any real energy there, and that's the problem. There's something not right at the club, and for me, it's at the top of the club. You know, and it'd be interesting, of course, when you talk to Ange when he's gone. And I felt it'd be gone. I said it on here. I felt last season it'd probably be gone by Christmas of this year, and he wasn't. Any other year he would have done. You know. I don't take any joy in that. It was just, you know, the wrong guy. It was actually, looking back, quite a reckless appointment. And, you know, my hat claps to Levy and then it for another really bad call. You know, just showing no real grasp of football. Great business, obviously, great business. We've all served them well, all our season ticket holders and muck punters. We've been there at the beginning. Now they don't need us. They don't even need old blokes like me. Horrible old blokes who don't go and spend £1,000 in the merch shop, in the club shop, you know. So yeah, it is what it is. It's bad faith, and it's just gone on for so long now. And you know, remember, I started supporting that club, you know, before we beat Chelsea in 1967. You know, so obviously because of Jimmy Greaves, all my family were Millwall and West Ham. Culturally, that's more where I'm at, you know. Yeah. But it's been a lot of years now, this, you know, and this goes, but we've never had a David Dean. You take David Dean, I like David Dean, Arsenal through and through, real enthusiast, was allowed to have a say at the club. We've never had a David Dean at Tottenham, someone who really understood football, loved the club, loved the. What is the club? But the consistency of identity through the years. There's a consistency there. I look at the club now. I look at that stadium. It's a very neutral space. You know, apart from the cockerel, it's made for shows and this and that.
It's an entertainment complex, isn't it? That's what it is.
It's corporate, you know, and there's no real fire in the belly of Tottenham. So it's still the club. Everyone knows Tottenham tend to roll over. They don't really have that fire. Not really, you know, and that's the thing that hurts the most, because the club I supported, started supporting all those years ago, had that. It was a London club, and it had a great reputation for skill and skillful play and attractive football, but it had some fire in its belly. I'm afraid that Tottenham Hotspur, as fans, we go there now, we don't have fire in our belly. We'll go there nervously on Thursday, which Ange dreads, and he's quite right to. Any other football team would be up for it in the last 16 of a major European competition, but we'll go there thinking, oh, they never really show up, and knowing they're going to be, you know, and then the groans will probably start early doors, you know. I hope I can come back on here at the end of the season. We've lifted Europa Cup, and I'll come on and say I really got that wrong. I would love to be wrong, believe me, but the reason I've probably got to a cynical point of view with this quicker is because I've seen it all before. I remember going to the Aussie Ardelis team, and we went up to Man City, and I remember looking at the pitch and just thinking, fucking hell, we haven't got a defence. We actually haven't got a defence. I'd never seen that before. I'd never seen a team where there wasn't one man back, and we didn't need to be, because it was 0-0. Yeah, I think we lost 5-2 or something in that game. You know,
there was a point actually, John, in that Bournemouth game where if you freeze the frame, I think on the first goal, you were trying to work out whether we were attacking or defending. It was like one of those games where it was Keystone Cops. I mean,
have you ever seen a guy run. So when's the last time you saw a guy in a proper elite football game run like that? That Bournemouth guy, running into acres of green space, unbelievable.
It was. It was ongoing. There was such a
and Ange's sort of, and you think, mate, you play with the inverted fucking right back. So that's what happens. He gives the ball away, and guess what? He's not in position. And then when we often play, like Bentancur was in that role of having to patrol in front of the centre halves, so he's got to cover a huge amount of space. So they're all just putting fires out. It's just like watching schoolboy football, really. I mean, to be honest, this modern pressing game, no one ever says that's what you're told not to do as a schoolboy. Don't all chase the ball. But now the teams press and they all chase the ball. And now it's moving away from that into a slightly cannier kind of game, where you press and you tactically, you're aware as a unit, you have a tactical awareness, which is why they always preferred Spanish players for years, didn't they? Because they were taught to think tactically. They see the whole battlefield. Like a good soldier knows where the artillery's placed. They know, the soldier knows more than just his little role,
Yeah,
Billy, am I being boring? Billy looks bored. Sorry, Billy.
No, I'm enjoying it, my friend.
Being bored. What he's had to see in his own game.
I'll be bored on Thursday night. I'm not bored now. I'm enjoying it, my friend.
Being bored. He's seen enough at the lane so far this season. Yeah. Bill, on the point, going back to it, right? I love some of the comments here. Ricky's dying to go for a break. I wish we go for a permanent break. Wait, we've got a bit of time. We'll have a permanent break in about 10 weeks' time. Thank God. Bill, where are you in terms of the manager and the atmosphere? I just feel, there's certain things as a manager that you maybe can and maybe shouldn't say, just with regards to our current form guy. When you've only had 1 win in 10 at home, and the fact that you've had, 5 Premier League home wins all season, you've lost 7, you've drawn 3, we're 2-0 down against Bournemouth. It should have been maybe 3 or 4 in the first half. You're paying some of the most expensive tickets in football to see 5 wins out of 15. Should he be thankful the fans aren't ripping up the seats?
Yeah, I think Jai is completely right, man. I think in the context of the season, I think fans have been unbelievably patient with the team. Unbelievably patient. We've sat and watched. You just showed it there on the graphic, man. So if you're a season ticket holder, you've been there for 10 games in a row and you've won one of them. And at the time you're doing that, you've probably spent upwards of £700 on tickets alone in that 10 games. So I think fans have every right to go to that stadium and feel that kind of anxiety and feel that, why should we be up for these games when we know what we're going to get? We're going to get a team that's slow out the blocks. We're not seeing that kind of Ange ball that we saw at the beginning of the season. It's a very, very, very likely a team is either going to score against us early or at least create a few chances against us. So I have complete sympathy with the fans. I think it's an interesting debate because obviously there's that thing that you say that fans should always be sort of supporting the team and geeing up behind the team. But let's not forget the club have made no efforts whatsoever to support the fans and be able to create an atmosphere. This season, 3 fan groups that have worked closely with the club have all moved away from working with the club because the club are not, they're doing the very, very bare minimum. They're entertaining them in meetings, but they're not making any effort at all to be on board with the fans. They're not putting any effort into creating a singing section. They're not putting any effort into supporting concessions for young fans that can able to afford and generate some atmosphere. The club do not care about the atmosphere of the stadium. They built the stadium, with atmosphere in mind, and the yellow wall. Compare our South Stand to the Dortmund wall. It's embarrassing. And I don't blame the fans. I blame the owners. So they made no effort whatsoever to be able to generate atmosphere. So I have every sympathy with fans that are paying the highest ticket price in Europe, being served up absolute dross at the moment and have been all season. So I think any manager or any one at the club, having to go at the atmosphere is on a very slippery slope for me.
It just goes back to that point, Bill. You're just saying there. It's obviously there's that fine line. I mean, many would say it's a bit of a chicken and egg scenario with regards to the fact that the word supporters would indicate you've got to support the team. But I also feel the fans, the players have got to give you something to support. It's a two-way street, right?
I feel like even when you go back to White Hart Lane, and we all know how incredible the atmosphere at White Hart Lane could be.
Oh, yeah.
I think it always comes from what was happening on the pitch, though, because there were plenty of times in that Redknapp era, that's sort of my biggest time when I was going the most. When I first started going, there were plenty of times when we were rubbish and boring, and the atmosphere it wasn't an electric atmosphere in those games. Let's not pretend that it was. It comes from what you see on the pitch, I think, and you can argue it shouldn't be like that way. European football, those fans, they come and they sing for 90 minutes regardless of what's going on the pitch. I don't think English fans are like that. I think we are inspired by what we see on the pitch, and this stadium this season has been like that plenty of times. That we've had a brilliant atmosphere. I think the atmosphere tends to come from the pitch, and whether you like it or not, that's the way it is. And if the fans had something to cheer for on the pitch, they would. But they haven't so far.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's some damning stats out there. I mean, Johnny Blaine, an interesting one around the XG thing that you just can't get away from. We've got our XG at home this season. Only Southampton have had more XG against them than Tottenham, which is quite a damning stat with regards to how bad we have been at home when it comes to facing goals. And also, if you take the Bournemouth game out of the equation, we hadn't scored a second half home goal in the league since December, which is versus Liverpool, and also not scored a second half home goal that altered the result since Aston Villa in November. So, I mean, look, Chris, you've said for you that, you're on a bit on the brink at the moment with regards to the manager. Do you think that's dangerous, Chris, when you come out and you're talking about the atmosphere where results at home have not really been good enough? And again, I'll make that point now. As I said earlier in the show, it's now impossible for Tottenham to record 10 home wins in the Premier League this season. And that will mark the first time since the 2010-2011 season that Spurs have failed to win at least 10 league home matches of a campaign.
I mean, you're all spot on. You're absolutely spot on. As much as I'm really, really on the edge, there's zero way I can defend Ange in that scenario. We have been terrible. And you don't come out and get at the fans after the dross you've been serving up for 6 months. It's not good. But equally, I'm gonna have to come in from the other side where, like I said, those players are rock bottom, right? And essentially, every single one of us are 100% invested in Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, right? We want Tottenham to win. That's the whole reason why we go to these games. That's the whole reason why we're listening to this podcast right now. It's the whole reason why we care. We want Tottenham to win. And if those players are not playing well, then Tottenham lose and we lose, essentially. So whether you're Ange in or out, whether you dislike certain players, we have to get behind these players. We have to do everything we can to help the team. The 12th man is a real thing, and their confidence is rock bottom. They need help. This run of results is clearly hurting them as much as it's hurting us. And I am going to go to that game and I'm going to do my very best to help that team because I want to win. And I think surely everybody here wants the Spurs to win, right?
Yeah,
that's the whole point.
And I think on the night, I think the fans will do their utmost to get behind the team. I think they will. Because it's a big, big European night for Tottenham. I think it does go back to the point as well that I think Billy touched upon it there. That I look back at even, I was joking earlier, I watched the season review of the season where Ramos came and they sat Yo, and you kind of take yourself back to, flashpoints of Enoch's tenure at Tottenham, what they've done to other managers. And it's quite mad, really, when I think about fans and patience and how calm they've been, John has had about, I don't know age John, how many years he's watched Tottenham and seen what he's seen.
75 years I've been a fan. No.
I'm not going to age him. But it's his frustration and anger is brought up with the fact, as he said earlier, he's seen this same scenario play out on so many times that at some point you become numb to it. And
I tell you, I was on the Shelf side for years, and then years in the corner between the Shelf side and the Park Lane. I was up in the 90s. I was in the south, in the West Stand. So the West Stand's never an enthusiastic stand. That was always the stand where all the old boys would moan about no one was ever as good as a double team, And so, I don't think that I've known White Hart Lane be rocking. Redknapp captivated people, It's not even that just so, John. It was Ginola, Berbatov, Keane, Defoe,
Modric,
Modric.
Carrick, you had play, the thing with Tottenham is
Aaron Lennon,
Aaron Lennon,
Lennon.
As a would get you off
Okay.
your seat. And the thing is, it's interesting. You go back in eras where there's certain Gaza, there's certain players that would get you off your seat, irrespective of how bad the team were playing or what they were doing.
I would love to see someone like Harry Red. He's too old now, and he'd be at Cheltenham, I would have thought, this week anyway. But I'd love to see a manager come in and just say to Bentancur, okay, son, it's okay. You're a good player. You're a very good player. You're a very elegant player. Let's get you playing to your strengths. Yeah. Let's not have you chasing after putting fires out. Yeah. Same to Maddison. Let's start getting. So where would we get overrun? Midfield. Let's get a bit compact. This goes against Ange, but I don't give a shit. For me, the best performance of the season, for me, most satisfying, was Brentford away. It was a humble, gritty win where we defended well for the 90-odd minutes, And I'd like to see us just put the extra man in that midfield, We haven't got a number 6. That was a big mistake because I think there's a thing of, well, we're Tottenham. And with Ange Ball, so we don't need a holding player. That's so passé. You back down with that kind of crap, And of course we do. We haven't got a good number 6, a good defensive, someone who sets.
No, the weekend he played 3 defensive midfielders.
Well, we haven't.
None of them were in position.
We had no creator in the team.
Yeah, tell me who's a defensive midfielder is.
True, good point.
We haven't got
3
one.
random midfielders who don't play anywhere.
And Bissouma's a dead loss for me. He's not nowhere near. He never will be the player he was at Brighton. That was, I'm sure he'll be gone in summer. But what I'd like to see is a team where there's. I'm not a football expert, but when I'm looking at that pitch, there's massive fucking gaps between players. It just can't be right. For listeners
of audio, we have got a game on Thursday.
So just let's fill some of those gaps up, and our squad actually, for all is not without talent. So would it be nice to have a who blinks first? Okay, we're gonna box clever. And we wager we can get behind you. I mean, obviously the thing, Kane is now a huge miss. Obviously, we haven't got anyone. We haven't got a dependable goal scorer. But by the way, the other thing that Manor Solomon, I thought it was a bad move for him to go on loan. Best winger at the club goes out on loan, and nothing much is said because we've got these amazing young players coming through. He's actually the best winger because he's got a trick in him. He's got a cross in him. He's a good player. He's done so well at Fulham. He's a good modern winger, good modern white player. This Mikey Moore looks a real prospect, looks a good player.
I mean, Mikey Moore's an interesting one. I mean, on that one,
Joe, on the bench at the moment, can he?
Mikey Moore can't even get in the squad. And this is the guy that absolutely ripped AZ to pieces in the group
Well, I
stage
would have
game.
fancied him to put him in on Thursday.
Yeah, me too.
And the reason why you do that, the crowd's going to get behind him. You say, "Go on, son, attack the fullback," which he can do. So,
but there's so many easy wins that he could have had. For example, and let's see if he does it on Thursday. Put Archie Gray in the position that we're waiting to see him play. Can we see Archie Gray as a defensive midfielder? Bearing in mind that you've got some centre backs now. I mean, I don't know. I just feel like we overcomplicate the most basic things that we could do. Like there's been some real easy wins that could get fans back on side very quickly. And I just think Ange has not mastered those easy wins that would have got fans back on side of those were doubting him. And he would have got more time.
I thought the Brentford game was possibly a turning point. It was like, wow, we were sensible. Man City at home in the League Cup. Wow, sensible. I mean, because winning away at Man City and away at Man United this year, they're not sustainable victories like that. They're fantastic. But the number of factors come together. They're a terrible moment, as we say now, and all that, But if the nitty gritty is the Brentford game. Brentford are a decent team. I mean, we're in that ballpark now. We're a mid-table at best Premier League team trying to fight relegation, as they are, And so that was a very, very, it was a canny, gritty performance. And I'd like to see that on Thursday, where it's like, right, let's not. First of all, we're a goal down. Let's not be mental. Let's be a bit patient and go for it.
Well, look, I'm gonna ask one final question. We've got to move it on. Firstly, we're nearly an hour into the show, and I said it would be an hour, and we've not even discussed AZ Alkmaar yet. Are we okay, guys, for 15 more to get AZ Alkmaar covered? Is that okay? Bill's giving me a heads up. Is that right with you, John?
Yeah, sorry, I'm going on and on and on about stuff.
We love you very much, though. Chris, is that right with you?
Yeah. I don't know anything. I don't know anything about.
John's so good now. He's answering for Chris as well. We've got brilliant.
Yeah.
Can I just say very quickly on Ange Postecoglou? Do you feel? I tell you what, as a host, I think I need a bloody break. Bill, do we all feel it's Ange's final week if he can't get this right, this game, or do you think they will give him to the end of the season? What's your gut feeling?
I'd be very surprised if they sack him before the end of the season, whatever happens. But I think this will be, if he doesn't win it, then he definitely won't be a manager next season. I think if you're gonna, there's nothing left to play for, is there? There's no. What is the point of bringing someone else in for the rest of the summer? Like, unless you're going to bring in Ryan Mason, well, what? There's no.
I mean, the only thing is, does that stadium become toxic?
There's absolutely nothing to play for. So I don't know. I'm not sure what would happen because obviously the managers that are going to be targeting are probably in a job. They're not going to move now unless you're going to go for an out-of-contract manager, and that list isn't looking too promising.
But it is feel like that Office Men where where obviously Brent turns around to Gareth and says, "Go and get the guitar." Would that be what's go and get Mason and Wells? Is that the answer for the final 10?
I just don't see the point. I think they'll give him the rest of the season even if he loses. But he definitely won't be manager next season. I think there's even a chance that if he wins the Europa League, he might not be manager next season. That's an interesting question in itself. But it's not looking good.
No, it's not looking good. I've got to say, and don't take offence to this, Jar, because I love Anthony Costadilli, as you know. I think you know him as well, Wan. The musicians have got it's the musicians that have got so much anger with regards to
we're angry. We're musicians. We've got all sorts of trauma we're working through. Chris had backed me up on that.
Well, Chris is
absolutely. Well, somehow I'm positive. I don't know why.
I mean, Chris has played a different genre of music, though, John. That's what it is. Chris has played a different genre of music.
I can get all my frustration out.
Caused me trauma as well.
I mean, what's your gut on it for you, Chris? What do you think will happen this week? If Ange can get us through and safely navigate us, he'll obviously, hopefully, well, I say hopefully, if he navigates us through, then obviously he's got us into the next round, and this is a redundant conversation for now. I mean, what's your gut feeling on it for you, Chris? Does it feel that if it wasn't to go our way, he'd lose his job?
Yeah, I'm in a very similar place to Billy, to be honest. I think if we lose this game and he got sacked, I wouldn't be surprised, and I would be happy with the fact that we need change. Like, as much as I want this to work, it's clearly not working. Something needs to change, and I'd be happy with that. But equally, I can also see them sticking with him because what's the point? Like, there's no one out there who can come in and uplift this. Mason and Wells aren't the answer.
Yeah,
Iraola's not coming mid-season. He's going to get Bournemouth in the bloody Champions League. So, I think they just try and stabilize it, damage limitation, build up some form and fitness for next season. There you go. That's all we can hope for.
John, so we can go for an ad break. A quick yes or no will Ange Postecoglou. How can I get a quick yes or no from John Wobble? You think I'm crazy? What kind of host do you think I am? I'm not that bloody good. John,
all I'd say is you can count on Levy to make the worst decision at the worst time. Yeah. So, you can count on him to do it at the worst possible time, the worst possible way.
He'll do it at half time.
We're winning the final. We're going to be winning the final, sack him at half time, we'll lose the final. It'd be so Tottenham. Look, we're going to squeeze in somehow our next break of the show for our listeners and audio. If there was more time on these segments, I would get the guys' views and opinions, but we're an hour in. We've not even discussed the main game that we're playing on Thursday. So I'm going to very quickly go through some of the news that's come through over the course of the last 24, 48 hours. John, there's a lot of fans in here that are even asking, can you replace me and take over to the end of the season? Which, I'll be honest with you, depending on how Thursday, Friday goes, John, you're more than welcome. Leon says his job free from Friday until May to finish the season. I'll get in touch with John's PR team. John, are you free between now until May if it all goes tits up?
I'm touring in April. What can I say? I'm touring in April.
I think you should replace Ange, not you, mate. I think you should replace Ange at this. I would want to play
him. The media would have so much fun. I'll tell you what, the media would have so much fun. Imagine him on a Friday at the media, the embargoed section. They wouldn't be able to print it. It'd just be all coded on the F and bollocks and the swearing.
I'd be done for bringing the game into disrepute by the comments I'd be making about everybody, and I'd be suspended. I'd be sitting up in stands all the time.
Good news is though, John, we'll still have you back. We'll still have you back. Yeah. Look, we're going to quickly skip through. Oh, what a show!
At least to be entertaining.
Oh, God. Are we not entertained? Are we not entertained? Of course we'll be entertained. Let's skip through the very latest news of what's happened over the course of the last 24, 48 hours being Tottenham fans. So just some news to bring to you. Bournemouth the Bournemouth owner Bill Foley has revealed they are working to persuade manager Andone Iraola to commit his future to the Cherries amid interest from Tottenham. We understand, again, according to sources, that Iraola is the leading favourite to replace Ange Postecoglou as head coach in the summer. Bill Foley spoke to TalkSport and said Thiago Pinto is talking to his agent and has been talking to Andoni, and we are raising the topic. I hope that when I'm over in late April or Easter, that I'll have a chance to sit down with him and talk more about what his goals and aspirations are. I know that our aspirations at Bournemouth will equal his. He wants to do well, wants to build winning teams, and we're here to support him. He's an excellent coach, a humble man, but he is serious. And he's a really great coach of our team. And he leads the team, so we're definitely all engaged in those matters. So Bournemouth trying everything in their power to extend Andone Iraola's contract further amid the interest from Tottenham. There's been some news that has come through from Korean media that Min-hyuk is being called up for the latest Korean squad, where he'll potentially be playing against either Oman and Jordan together in those final group stage matches to come. We understand Tottenham are looking to relaunch a summer move for former player Dennis Sirkin, of course, part of the academy pool Tottenham had at the club a number of years ago, and a player that very much interested Jose Mourinho during his time at the football club. Playing really well for Sunderland at the moment this season. Keep an eye on that. Will Tottenham go back for a former player? We also understand, and John brought him about 20 minutes ago, that Leeds have already informed Tottenham that they want to sign Manor Solomon permanently when the summer transfer window opens, provided they are promoted to the Premier League. The Israeli international has scored 7 goals across his loan spell at Leeds this term and will be able to guide the club to promotion back in the Premier League. Leeds are currently top of the Championship table, and providing they are promoted, they are looking to make that move permanent for Manor Solomon. So that's some news there. There's also suggestions that Tottenham are planning to reopen talks over a move for Crystal Palace defender Mark Gahey. This comes on the back of the fact that on the last day of the January transfer window, Tottenham tried to launch an audacious move for the Palace player, but run out of time to get a deal done, and Palace were refusing to sell the player on the final day of the window. The move is understood to be dependent on whether Christian Romero will remain a Tottenham player amid interest from Real Madrid, who are reportedly going to make a concrete move for him in the summer. And for those that missed that, obviously after the game at the weekend, Christian Romero took to X to thank the Tottenham fans for all the support that he had with regards to coming back. But he made it very, very clear that he was grateful to the physios of Argentina for getting him out of a bad moment and putting him back on the pitch where he is so happy. Thanks for our support, as always, there, Christian Romero. I mean, Romero's gone off. He's pretty much two-footed everybody, part of the fan base. He's gone in for the owners. He's gone in for the medical staff. Something tells me that Christian Romero's going to be a Tottenham player next season. I might be wrong. But yeah, there's your latest Tottenham news and views. So there you go. Min-hyuk back in the Korean squad. Mark Gahey, potentially a summer target for Tottenham. And Andone Iraola looking to be tied down to Bournemouth for longer than just next season, because he has got that further year contract. So we will see. I mean, very quickly, guys, this might be really inappropriate for me to ask you this on the even what is a crunch game for Tottenham, where it's all or nothing in terms of the Europa League. Do we have a favourite manager for next season? Is there one name? I'll say one name because we might not ever get around this conversation. Let's get John Rat away very quickly on this.
Scotty Parker. And everyone to go fucking mad. Scotty Parker. Scotty Parker.
There you go. Scott
Sensible,
Parker,
grim-faced kind of bloke. He's not your mate. He's not going to be the player's mate. Yeah. He's not going to talk a load of shit. Nice and solid at the back. Yeah. That's one. Of course it won't happen. But Scotty Parker I'd have all day long.
There you go. Jog sipping the Scotty Parker move. Bill, you got a name at this stage that you'd like? Have you seen it? What do you think of Iraola's audition anyway, Sunday?
Well, I think they were one coach football team in that game, and there was one very uncoached football team in that game. That's all I'll say about that. I want Daniel Levy as manager because I think that's the only way we can get rid of him is him by sacking himself at this point. That's the last straw.
Well said. Yeah.
That is the only way he's ever going to go, is if he makes himself manager. I'm not really inspired by many of the names out there, to be honest. Like I'll probably say Iraola if I had to, but I have no faith whatsoever in this organisation to back a manager successfully. If you look at the 16 managers that we've hired, you could probably
Look at
argue 3 of them.
Look at Nuno.
Yeah.
Look, not a chance at Tottenham.
You could argue 3 of them have done well. Poch, Harry Redknapp, and Martin Yule. Martin Yule wasn't even hired as a manager; he was hired as an assistant. So that's more luck than anything. So I think that's 3 out of 16, which is a terrible hit rate. So I got no faith, man. Just give it to Daniel Levy and see what happens.
I mean, on that point, Bill, I must ask you about change for Spurs. I know that you've probably got some stuff that you're working on there. Anything you want to let us know in terms of upcoming news on protests, or anything you can share for this stage?
Yeah, so we got the Southampton game will be the next protest for sure. The banner says it all there. This is time for change. It looks like that, our current manager is hanging on by a thread. That'll be 16 managers in 20 plus years of ENIC. And if you want to help make a change, that Southampton game is going to be the one that we're going to target for a protest. Tomorrow night we've got a space where we're going to announce some more plans for that. We're trying to mix things up a little bit compared to the last protest, so keep an eye on the social media tomorrow. But as always, thank you to the support. Thank you to the support that this show gives as well. That's it's a big driver for us. And thank you to anyone, because we've just listened to everyone talking tonight. Everyone wants change now. We're just so bored of this, aren't we? Everyone wants change by now.
Yeah, I'm worried the way Jar is at the moment. I'm not. I might not see us alive to see the change what this club's doing to us at the moment. I mean, it is. My dad's the same age as you, John, and the thing is, I really wanted Tottenham just to get to a cup final this season, just to be able to take him back to Wembley, because I've got 2 brothers, and the thing is, I mean, I don't know how many more years we're going to have left as a family to be able to witness really special times, for Tottenham to win a trophy.
Well, I've lost a lot of dear friends, Mike.
Yeah.
Very good mate about us, Gibbo, very well known down at Tottenham.
17 years.
Yeah, Gibbo died, and I think of all these the years home and away, all over the shop, and never saw us win the league in his lifetime. So many, and my aim is just to see us win the league once before I pop it. And I tell you what, I'm not confident of that happening.
Not under this ownership.
I'll go and watch a fair bit of football, AFC Wimbledon. I've got good friends there, and I feel more at home there. Just an honest football club owned by the fans, with my kind of culture, plain speaking kind of people. Know quite a few people at the club. Tottenham's just become this thing. When I go there, and there's nice people there. My son's got a ticket up in the South Stand. Where I see they're nice people, but it's not, it's just a different thing now. It's a completely different thing compared to what's sitting at White Hart Lane over, over in Block 31.
John, you said it earlier, man. When the fans, that kind of fan, the fans like us that have been going for years, and those kind of fans, they're not the fans that Daniel Levy wants anymore. He wants fans that are going to go there, spend hundreds of pounds in the club shop, take pictures in the stadium, buy an NFL ball while they're there. And that's what this club are all about now. The club the Tottenhamness of the club is completely disappearing before our very eyes.
I've said this on so many occasions. It's not the club that my dad took me to when I was so young. And that first time you go into White Hart Lane, you have that feeling where I know it sounds mad to say this. It's not just a smell, but you get that itch where this is going to be part of your life, and whatever happens, you've got no get out. You are stuck with them. Through thick or through, whatever.
It was a big deal. All my family were West Ham and Millwall, and I love Tottenham, and I love Tottenham. Like the idea of Tottenham. But what is a club? Is the continuity? And it's a different beast now. If the club had any sense, they'd get someone like Billie in. They'd get a few people like Billie in and say, right, let's give you a bit of power. What do you want? What can we improve? But they would never do that. But the Spurs Trust, I know the Spurs Trust was, so they're never going to do that. It's theirs. They've got possession of it, now. And so it'll go where it'll go. And the likelihood is, when it goes wrong, working class support will walk away, the traditional fanatical fans, and you'll get more.
They already are, though, John. John, they already are. How many people do you know, John? I could list you a lot of mates of mine that just haven't gone this season. Not because they don't love the club, but because they've got no connection there. I know
no
so many.
connection.
They've got no connection
no-
anymore. They feel nothing going. They're numb to this.
I went in the Beehive. There were some American friends of mine over, big Tottenham fans from Boston, and nice people. It was the Beastie Boys label guy.
Just going to say, we're going to come on to AZ Alkmaar.
So they're nice people, and I went, they're lovely guys.
Come on to AZ Alkmaar.
And I went in there, and they said, "Hey, do you know this place?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah." And I looked out, and I said, "I've seen a few scuffles out there, mate, like in the high road over the years, you know." And I didn't see anybody I knew in there. You know, I had a Coca. I don't drink anymore. I had a Coca-Cola with them, and they're lovely people, nice people. They all had a bag from the club shop, you know, two big sort of carrier bags, you know, because they're old, and it's great. They're Tottenham fans, all good. Yeah. But I didn't see anybody I knew there. And I used to see loads of people I knew all up the high road when I went up, you know, or if I'll come from Northumberland Park. I don't really. So I go there. I'm sort of my son, you know, if he goes, he's up many other things. So a lot of he trains. He does kickboxing, so he's more into training now. And I said, keep that up. Don't sacrifice anything for this club now. It ain't worth it. And I'm ruining both my son's life because I made them come. And they grew up north. So after time in London, I'm up in Stockport near Manchester. So my oldest boy, we were walking through local woods one day. He said, "Dad," and it was a thunderstorm brewing in the distance, I swear. He said, "Dad, Man United are a good team, aren't they?" And they were at the time. And I towered above him with the thunder going behind me. I went, "We're Spurs. We're Spurs in this family, son. We're Spurs." And I ruined his life, you know, ruined their bloody lives, you know, because it's, you know what, I'm not joking apart. It's a weak excuse of a football team, isn't it? There's never any fight or passion. You know, there's something really lacking. And that's something, do I blame Ange for that? No, I don't. I think he's got passion. So I'm slagging him off tonight. This ain't down to him. This is down to the ownership. And this is before this. This goes back to Alan Sugar, you know. This goes back even, you know, when they had to deal with Hummel or whatever, and there was financial difficulties going into the Sugar era. We've never had owners like Arsenal. And I mean, even I saw a thing online, and we all hate Chelsea, obviously. Yes, we don't like we don't like them.
We are coming on to AZ Alkmaar. Go on.
Yeah, but there was a thing where, you know, Abramovich, John Terry was talking about Abramovich. Obviously, they had money. They got the best players. There was, you know, it was a different era. But as he said, there was just an intent on winning. That's all Abramovich cared about, was winning. And and you just think, God, you know, we're so. You look at the amount of trophies they've won to us, and we were the top dogs back then. You know, we were the top dogs. I remember Chelsea had a shithole ground. I mean, it was the worst football ground I've ever seen. It was horrible. It was all mismatched, and you know, it was it was a muddy old pitch and all that. You know, I mean, they'd admit it themselves, Chelsea fans. You know, and they would get crowds of 16,000 and all that. You know, 70s and 80s. They would, you know, and then there's a winning mentality. And I've spent a couple of evenings with David Barnard, I think is the executive from now, and people say, "Oh, this is going to be trouble." Chelsea can sit next to Jah Wobble, but you know what? I was just impressed with the guys. Lovely person, but just very dedicated to Chelsea and winning. You know, it was just, you're talking to a serious person, and I always just could feel jealous. I just wish like somebody had a David Dean or someone like that at Tottenham over the years who had influence, who understood the fans and understood the pride in the shirt and what we're about. I mean, it's that magic. It's that quote and X. You see it in, you know, you saw it in Jimmy Greaves, Gilzine, McKay. There was something about Tottenham. Everyone knows that. David Pleat knew that when he went and managed Tottenham. It's a magical club, Tottenham. It's a fucking massive beast. If these people running it ever kind of realised that and got success, actually, he's just said, you know what? Let's you know, or sell it to the Qataris. I don't care anymore. You know, time's running out for me. You know. I want to see us win the league, and I want to see that match with that white shirt with a cockerel. It's my fucking club. I love the club.
On that point, John, you give me the perfect segue into the fact we've got a massive, massive game on Thursday, and this is the pick-me-up, right? This is the part where we're going to tell you it's all going to be all right. Or are we? Let's start with Chris. Let's go with some positives. Let's go to some positives.
God, it's up to me, is it? Jesus. I mean, first of all, I just want to say, like, Jar, you speak the truth. I could listen to you speak all day, mate. It's
Oh, listen,
great.
Thanks.
I think
You're spot on.
Me
You're
too,
spot on.
man. Me
I
too.
think after tonight there'll be a lot of calling saying we get Jar in for the rest of the season.
Yeah,
If
Yeah.
Jar
spot
wasn't,
on.
there's a lot of home truths that have been said for sure. And look, I've always said that Last Word on Spurs is an accurate reflection of a lot of the match-going fans that go week in, week out, where it's home and away. And look, we're blessed to have a massive, obviously, following on this show, and there's people that listen all around the world. And I think what you're definitely expressing in this show that we've seen here, especially from John, is a feeling from a lot of fans on the terrace. You know, I can't sit here and say it's how everybody feels, but it's how a lot of fans feel that go week in, week out, that travel home and away. They give up so much time with family, with friends, with partners, with pets, that love the club. And unfortunately, that, like a lot of us, there's no get out. We're stuck with them. We can never change. As much as we might want to, we know we can't. So let's see what 30 does bring. It's a massive, massive game, Chris, for the football club. This might surprise many. I think Tottenham should turn the game around. Will they? Is another question, Chris, because like we spoke about it earlier, the atmosphere in the stadium, the fans are going to have to be the 12th man for this game. And I think the fans will be the 12th man for the players that are on that pitch. You know, it's a massive European night for Tottenham. I think a lot of the fans that go, and that's probably why it's a good thing, it's a night fixture. It's not an easy game for a lot of people that will go to this. What's your gut feeling, Chris, in terms of what we're going to see on Thursday? Will we see a Tottenham team that is going to show an element of progression in terms of the way they're going to play with the ball? Or are you concerned it might be a similar theme to what we've seen in the previous leg and the Bournemouth game? Can there be an uplift is probably the question I'm trying to search for to ask you, Chris.
I mean, of course, we're all going to be anxious and nervous, like we've been served up just for 6 months. But all I can say is they have to. This is it. It's all or nothing. Like, if they don't turn it on for Thursday, they're never going to turn it on. So, yeah, I mean, it has to. It has to be better. We have to win that game. Otherwise, the season's over. It's as simple as that. And like, just echoing what I said earlier, you know, call to arms. Us fans need to help. We need to be the 12th man. We need, like, even though they've been shocking, we need to pick them up. We need to do our bit, and we want Tottenham to win. So let's help Tottenham win. Like, if Tottenham win, we all win. Simple as that.
Yep. I mean, I know, like I say, for many out there, this is now pretty much everything on the line. As Bill says, it's the final five that you're going to put on the roulette wheel for it. And, you know, the thing is that we're facing a side that, with all due respect, AZ Alkmaar, I said this the other week, many criticised me for it. You know, we're not playing a European supergiant here. Yes, they've got European pedigree, don't get me wrong. They're a fairly decent side. But when you look actually their record, especially away from home, they've not won any of their last 10 away games on the continent. And this will equal their worst ever streak if they fail to win again in this one. I know Tottenham got a tendency, Bill, of breaking records. I mean, should we have enough to get past AZ Alkmaar on Thursday? I mean, even what the fact that you're saying at the moment, there is a lack of confidence in the squad. There are question marks around the manager. It is only a 1-0 deficit. You know, should we still feel we've got enough of quality in that squad to turn things around?
Yeah, of course we should feel like that, without a doubt, man. These are, the level of quality in that league was shown up last week when, Arsenal beat the second best team in that league 6-1 away from home. That's the kind of performance we should have been putting in away from home against them. We didn't. I'm actually pretty confident that we'll turn this around, funnily enough, even though everything's going drastically wrong for us at the moment. It's the next game that I would worry about against Frankfurt, who are a much better outfit than this one. I'd have no faith for us in that game, but we'll worry about that at the time if it comes. I think we'll turn it around. We are a much better team than them. There's no doubt about it. If we get a bit of atmosphere, we're going to have to probably get an early goal. I think an early goal will really help us because they're going to low block. And we are not the best against low blocks. You know, we have a pretty dire record this season against teams that are going to come to defend. And unfortunately, we've given them something to defend, which they should have never have had in the first place. But I do actually believe that we'll turn this around because if you look at the two, the level of the two football clubs, we should be winning this without a doubt.
Yep. Certainly in terms of the squads on paper and the fact that, as I discussed, with regards to AZ, they've got a horrendous away record travelling in Europe. You know, their form on the road in general is worrisome for them. Like I've said, they've not won any of their last 10 away games on the continent, and this would equal their worst ever streak. You know, you can't also get away from the fact They've had an astonishingly good run of form in this Europa League. You know, they have beaten Turkish giants Galatasaray 6-3 in aggregate to get this far. Since losing to Ferencvaros on match day 8 of the league phase, they've won 7 of their last 9 matches across all competitions, keeping them in the race for the top 3 also in the Eredivisie as well. So, look, they're a side that have actually had a massive upturn in form in the midpoint of the season, and they're going into this game in a completely different mood what they would have been when you think back to even when we played them in the group stage. They're a completely different side now. I mean, John, it comes down to what Bill said there. They're probably going to come to Spurs and deploy a low block. You've said it as well, John. There's a squad there that's lacking severe confidence at the moment. Do you feel that given everything that's gone on over the course of the last 4 or 5 days, you had Romero calling out the Spurs physios, you've had Ange Postecoglou questioning the atmosphere, which even when I think about that again, going back to that again, is just absolutely baffling why you'd go there. Do you think, John, there will be a positive feeling from the fans in that ground on the night to help, as Chris says, cheer on the team and reverse that scoreline? What's your gut feeling on it for you, John?
Well, I'm going to be there. I'll be shouting. It's not that loud. I've got 3 tickets. Me mate Lynchy, I've gone with for years. You know, he was with me. Yes, you had the Cutwoody team. That is, we were over there for the Anderlecht and then at home. You know, and so we've been here gone for years. Me boys going as well. We're all sitting together, cheap tickets, and I'll be shouting for them. I think we'll win. As Billy said, I worry far more about Frankfurt and Ajax. What was the score in the first leg, Billy, with that?
Frankfurt 1-2 away, so they're probably going to go for
right.
it.
So it's Frankfurt who are good. That's the Crystal Palace geezer was there, wasn't he? For
and they're third in the Bundesliga at the moment. So.
Yeah.
Right. So, you know.
Can I just say, John, the messages are, get your megaphone, John, and sit behind Ange is one of the messages from the viewers.
Well, do you know what I'm hoping? The likes of Romero and the senior pros say, get together and say, right, you know, do you mind me? I've got to swear. I'm sorry. If it's me, I say, look, fuck this geezer. He means well, right? But we can't, you know, listen, you, whoever's, if it is Porro at right back, listen. Don't fucking, fuck what he said. You're staying back. You fucking stay back. You don't go bombing forward. You know, don't mind you going wide and have a word with the midfield. When he does go and he's going to cross the ball, and you fucking get back there. So someone's got to get control of it because the gaffer hasn't got control of it. You can see that they're not. They're all over the shop. They've got to be compact because if they're not compact, they'll get beat by this team. Who's the guy that was the Palace manager and West Ham manager, Alan? He's out of Rains Park. I can't remember his name. He's on TalkSport on a Sunday night. Alan. Pardew, yeah. And he was saying he felt that the Dutch league, I always thought it was like upper end of Division 1, middle of Championship. He was saying he felt it was the top of the Championship sort of level. And, you know, what bothers me when he said that, I just thought, well, that's kind of where we're at. If we played Leeds United tomorrow, Leeds would beat us. Yeah? You know. So we're kind of, we're a team that, you know, we're like basically bottom of the Premier League. So we're being very poor, very porous. And I think, you know, I'd like to think those senior pros will just get hold of the situation a bit, you know, and that with the coaching staff as well, you know, that they're like, right, we're not going to do it. We're not going to play daft, you know. And
the problem is, though, John, I don't know if you agree. I'm not sure how much influence that coaching staff has over Ange, because I said earlier in the show, Ange is like an observer that watches out onto the pitch. And with all due respect, the rest of the coaching staff seems separated and
it's the chin stroking. Well, I do all my work on the training ground, me. That's what it's sort of, you know, one of them, you know. And you think, oh, fuck off, you know, like, you know. It doesn't necessarily mean if you're emotional that it makes you a great manager. Or anything, but, you know, but you know what I want to see, balls in the fucking box. Yeah, balls in the box. Nothing wrong with getting it in from an angle because you've got like Porro's actually got a good cross on him. Just get the ball in the fucking box.
Are we sure we've got the right man on the touchline on Thursday? Should we not get this
let's fucking work on some offensive set pieces as well because we should have a lot of corners. Yeah,
I just want to see some
if we
shots.
Get a free kick, and if we get a free kick and Maddison's on the pitch, maybe let him take it and not fuck about with Son. I mean, that was what was going on there? Unbelievable. You know, and he's one of the best. This is one of the best midfield players going. So, you know, football's a simple game. Get the fucking ball in the box. Yeah. You know, I know we like to play them. That's all fucking great. Yeah, I know we all like that. But let's go fucking long a bit in this game, yeah? So then when they're pressing, they start to get doubts. Because if you're pressing like mad and the keeper's going long, you're thinking, oh, I don't know if I should press. And you start getting hesitant, you know? And then you start pressing. Once they start backing off, it's not fucking rocket science. And that's been football since I've ever known it. Do you know what I mean? You know? But your starting point is going long when they're up in your face and all aggressive. Lovely. I'll kick it over your fucking head. And it's not like, you know, they're going to be win the fucking headers and win the second balls. Win the second balls. You know, it's not fucking high art. Fuck the philosophy. You can get onto that. I don't care. But it's a football game and win it. Find a fucking way. Cheat. Do what you got to do.
Can I put my ticket in John for manager, please?
My manager is that guy right there.
Right.
Iraola who?
I still go all over. I watch. I'm going to the Fulham game. You know, I was there at the Fulham game. Like, you know, when he decided to prove a point.
I'm actually crying.
By playing Skip and Holberg. Holberg, by the way, if Holberg was still there, we'd be 6 or 7 or 8 points better off. By the way, a decent player that everyone thought he was dog shit because he's not some you know fantastic Spaniard. You know. He's actually a good, decent player. But Ange has to prove a point that, well, I'm going to show everyone that they can't press, right? You know, so we get massacred in the first half against Fulham, you know, and then
crying. I'm actually crying.
Kulusevski puts a good ball in. We have so many good with Kulusevski. You think, son, fucking cross it. Even City cross it nowadays, you know. Win the second ball, they would show a bit of fight, you know, and then if you get through against Frankfurt, you know, Frankfurt, fucking hell, these geezers, they really get into you. Well, you know, you're the centre forward, and you say to the centre half, I'm going to fucking hurt you tonight. I'm going to fucking hurt you. You know, you start getting a conversation with them, all that stuff, you know. It's football. It's football.
I think we've come to the perfect point to get predictions, guys.
I mean, you're spot on, John.
3-1 Tottenham. I think 3-1 Tottenham. I'm fucking fighting for it. Yeah, I'm ready now.
Chris. I mean, I want to see. I need to see change. We need to roll the dice. We need to play. We actually need to play some football. You're absolutely right. We need shots. When's the last time we had a shot, for God's sake?
Can I ask, whatever's in jar, can we not inject that into the 11 that go out there and the bloody manager?
Yes, for God's sake.
Phil's even lost. Phil's not even spoke so much. He's back on mute.
I'm a working class bloke. You played a bit of football. Still played football recently. I've retired from the walking football because I was knocking people over or bumping into people, you know. And even there, it's like fucking hell.
We need to unmute Bill.
You know, you're allowed to touch somebody. So I've knocked all that. I'm a working class bloke who loves his football and go into life with a passion. If you're a chef, do it with fucking passion. Whatever you're doing, have some passion in life. And that's what you want to do at football team is passion. Sorry,
we played walking football last Thursday, and that was the problem.
Yeah.
Bill, prediction?
If John was our manager, I'd say we'd win 5-0 on Thursday, but because he's not, I'm going to go 2-0. But I wish John was our manager. I genuinely believe that as well, because that kind of passion, that to me, that if you could distill that, that's what Tottenham is all about, and that's what is disappearing from our club at the moment. So yeah. I would very happily support this man in anything that he does.
Absolutely. What a show.
Completely agree.
I'm not sure I can afford Joel to be the Spurs manager. I'll tell you what a show. Guys, I want to say a massive thank you to everybody that's tuned in. Yes, there might have been and should have been more focus on AZ, but I can tell you that I've had a bloody good time. I've had a good cry as well that I've needed to have for a very, very long time. It's what this football club's put us through. And I think the general consensus is that it's quite a big game on Thursday, if you haven't noticed by what we've said on this show. I want to say a massive thank you to the wonderful Chris Ostler. Chris, thank you so much. Are you pumped and ready now, Chris, after this? I think I am. I'm ready to go for
Yeah,
the Wolves, I think.
After that team talk from John, I'm ready for anything. Let's go. Thanks so much for having me on. Honestly, it's been great to be back and blow off some steam. And I just want to say kudos to Billy for all the stuff he's been doing with Change for Spurs.
Yeah, well done,
honestly.
Billy. Well done.
Doing some good stuff there, mate.
Bless you. Chris, what's coming up in your diary? Anything exciting coming up you want to let us know with regards to yourself?
Yeah, I've been busy in the studio. Yeah, the next record's coming out with the bands this year, so keep your eyes open. Going on tour as well, loads of festivals and stuff. So, yeah, I'll let you know.
Fantastic. Of course, Black Honey UK. Make sure you check out Chris for more. Jah, we love you very much. I know we have to store you up and then unleash you every 3 months, but
Yeah.
You know we love you very much on this show, and there's always a clamour for whenever you come on that people know what they're going to get from you. Is a very honest, a very down to the point verdict of where Tottenham are, no matter where they are over the course of the many years. But the biggest thing of all, John, is the frustration that we all have as Spurs fans is because we love the club so much, right? And I'm sure you reckon that as again, I'll say to you that I know how much this club means to you and the fact that we just want to see this club win.
Yeah, it's got the club is off. Look at that Liverpool away, gutless. Villa away, gutless. Like I say, at the very least, knock it long and elbow the centre half. At least do something. Be seen to try something. And you find a way. In football, winners find a way. And it's too weak, and something it has to change. Otherwise, if this goes on, it will really end in calamity. I mean, it will just wimp out. You'll start seeing big, massive spaces up the top of the east and west stands. You'll see them creep down, and people just because it's all well and good getting a tourist when you're a tourist attraction. When you start to not be a hot ticket for the football, it becomes because a mascot thing. You'll be trying to give the seats away. I think eventually, So surely the club means something. Surely the owners can think, you know what, we actually owe these supporters who have come year in year out.
Not a chance. But they don't, John.
Because it's our club.
Yeah,
the business might be theirs. I don't really care, but the club is ours. We're Tottenham. We're fucking Tottenham. We are.
Yep.
It's going to take something like us losing and going down for them to actually realise and do something about it.
I don't think it's beyond that. I think it's beyond that. I think there's no interest on the footballing side of the business. There is no interest on the
relegation might talk.
But I don't know. I mean, this is the thing, isn't it? Look, we've got a massive game Thursday. John, I want to say a massive thank you. John, you're back on tour.
I'm back on tour. Got a lovely record out with Sampa, the rapper. He's really nice bloke.
Oh, I love Sam. Yeah.
Oh, he's great.
Yeah, got a record out of him called Losing You with Richard Russell.
God, what losing? Always a losing. It's got to be a Spurs fan losing you.
Yeah,
it's not about the club, is it losing? It's not based on the club, is it losing you? Is it
we've
based
done
on
the video. We've done the video in a taxi. And Richard said, "Come along, we'll make sure you're all right." So I had the bad back, and I had the bass squashed up. I was in agony, like in the video. You see me in the video, I'm like that. I'm actually got my fucking back, But and I've got a single out with Ken Booth. Remember Ken Booth, famous legendary reggae singer. We got that. That's the single. That's going to be an album. And then we're out on tour April. We got the 100. I think that's sold out. I think they're trying to put another show in there. We're doing as part of the Scar Festival.
Well, John,
so a lot going on.
We're going to get you back on before the end of the season. We are going to get you back on. I know, like I say, there's always a book going with you, John. Don't write them too quickly, because otherwise you'll not have enough room to fit in your career as being a Spurs fan. Because that book will be never ending. It'll be a memoir that we'd all have to buy. So I want to say a massive thank you to you, mate. We love having you on here, and I can't express to you. You can see them, John. The amount of comments and love for you on this show.
I'm a Tottenham fan. That's basically Jah Wobble's a Tottenham fan. I'm like all of you. I'm a Tottenham fan. fan. My sons, we're Tottenham fans, and we all joke about it, but actually, it's our club, and I think we're probably. You look at our attendances and the away attendances going right the way back, sort of 70s and all that. We're a great club with a great support, and the support deserves more and deserves some bloody respect for the shift we're putting in its house, and they're guardians to that. And so, please God, that'll change. And let's be positive. I don't blame Ange, although I might say he should go. He's not to blame for this. This is a long, as Billy well knows, and Chris and you yourself, this is going back a lot of years. This is even
25
before
years.
Ennick. It even goes back before Ennick's time, you know?
Yeah, I tell you, it's a lot. I need holiday. Bill,
No
thank you.
respect. You look at the difference, as I said earlier,
Yeah.
with Arsenal or Chelsea. Look at Arsenal. There is, I mean, I think they made a mug move. They'll never be the club they were. They should never have left Highbury. They should never have left Highbury. They lost something there. You know, they should have enlarged that. But there was a seriousness of intent with the club, which is why they're the only London club up to Chelsea that was winning the leagues and all that in the 70s and with a double and in the 90s. You know, and do you know what? They might laugh at this. They all know that if Tottenham get the bit between their teeth and get the right situation, we'll put them all in the shade. Arsenal, Chelsea, the fucking lot of them, because Tottenham are London. You know, we are really the king. You know, we are the team in London. We are.
Yeah.
If we start winning, if these people running the club would just realise that and just think, you've got your little pop concerts and your boxing, bully for you, fantastic. Actually, really invest in making a winning team, and that then becomes a bigger part of your brand, and you do, you know, fantastic business. But it really would mean something, you know, and it's not that hard to do. I suspect one of the things, you just get that Paratici back on board, because this geezer run Juventus, he's no mug, and just say to him, what do you think? Because I think Levy always needs a David Pleat or someone like that whispering in his ear. That Paratici looks, you know, like he kind of knows what's what, you know. Just listen to him. If we've got this Enrique, it's gone to pens, by the way, I think. Yeah, it's gone to pens. This Enrique. You can imagine if Enrique had been here in the parallel universe. Of course, he wouldn't have been backed, I suppose, because Tottenham managers aren't. Anyway, I'm saying too much. Up the Spurs. Let's do these Dutch geezers on Thursday night. And I'm going down Green Lanes after. I'm going to stuff my face. Win or fucking lose. Yeah.
Well, it would only be Jah Wobble to get the fireworks out as we end the leave of this show. Bill, thank you so much. I'm sure you'll echo the words of Jah there. Let's get this job done on Thursday.
Yeah, man. And listen, on at the Bournemouth game, we unveiled a new banner that said "Built a business, killed a football club." And listening to Jah tonight that to me is what Tottenham is all about. Fans like that, you know. That's, you know, when I think of Tottenham, I think of, you know, being in the pub with my dad and you know, listening to people talk about the club like that. And that is what's disappearing for me. That's that identity that we had is eroding before our very eyes. So it's been a pleasure to be on tonight, and I've really, really enjoyed it. And that's why we want change, because our identity is being taken away from us by people that don't care about the commercial side of things and not the football side of things. So I really appreciate the time.
Well said, Billy, and well done with the campaign. And that's
just the beginning, man.
It's looking like it's going to be a big success. Well done to you and all the people.
No, thank you. It's for people like you that we do it for, man.
Thank you.
Well, listen, we're going to leave you on the hope that Tottenham are going to advance against AZ Alkmaar in the round of 16. We'll be back after that game, where hopefully Spurs have advanced and are looking ahead to a quarter-final. I want to say a massive thank you to the musicians in the house, the calm, the composure of Chris Ostler, the raw energy and emotion of John Wobble. We would not change him for the world. And as always, the comedy, the brilliance and value of Billie T, which we can never get away from. We have been the last word on Spurs. Please keep safe. Please keep well. It is Europa or bust. It is all on to Thursday. And as always, come on, you Spurs.